It was day 3 of filming on the set of Unforgiven, and the entire crew had been standing ready since 6 in the morning. 75 people, camera operators, lighting technicians, sound crew, costume designers, makeup artists, grips, extras, all of them waiting, all of them on the clock, all of them watching the empty chair where one actor was supposed to be sitting 3 hours ago. Clint Eastwood sat in his director's chair, silent, watching the sun climb higher in the sky. Perfect morning light was slipping away, again, for the 3rd day in a row. Then, at 9:15, a Mercedes pulled up to the set. Out stepped the actor, coffee in hand, sunglasses on, moving like he had all the time in the world. He strolled past the waiting crew without a word of apology, heading straight for his trailer. The assistant director approached him nervously. "We've been waiting since 6. We're losing the light for your big scene." The actor shrugged. "My artistic process can't be rushed," he said. "I'm not one of those television actors who can just show up and perform on command." What happened next became one of the most legendary moments in Hollywood history, and it all came down to 5 words that ended a career. This story has circulated through Hollywood for decades. The actor's real name has been lost to time, or perhaps deliberately forgotten. Some versions call him Derek Matthews, others don't name him at all. But everyone who tells the story agrees on one thing: he made the mistake of disrespecting Clint Eastwood's set, and he paid for it immediately. The trouble started on day 1. It was 1991, and Clint was directing Unforgiven, the Western that would eventually win him 2 Oscars and be considered one of the greatest films ever made. But nobody knew that yet. They just knew they had a tight schedule, a modest budget, and a director who valued one thing above all else: professionalism. The actor in question was a method actor. Fresh off some theater success, he'd been cast in a supporting role, not the lead, but significant enough. He arrived on set that first day with a reputation for being intense, dedicated, serious about his craft. And he arrived 2.5 hours late. When the assistant director asked what happened, the actor launched into an explanation about needing to find his character, about how the morning light helped him connect with the emotional truth of the scene, about how real artistry couldn't be confined to a call sheet. Clint said nothing. He adjusted the shooting schedule, filmed other scenes, and made a mental note. Day 2, the actor was scheduled for a critical scene, a dramatic confrontation that required precise timing with other actors, complex camera movement, and specific natural light they'd have for maybe 90 minutes at most. 6 a.m. call time. The crew assembled, cameras ready, lights positioned, makeup done, everyone in costume, everyone except the actor. 6:30, still nothing. 7 a.m., the assistant director called the actor's hotel. No answer. 7:45, a call came in. The actor was running late. He'd explain when he got there. 8:30, he finally arrived. By then, the perfect light was nearly gone. The other actors had been standing in costume for over 2 hours. "Where were you?" the assistant director asked, trying to keep his voice calm. "Preparing," the actor said, as if this was obvious. "I can't just walk onto a set and perform. I need time to inhabit the character, to find the truth of the moment." The assistant director looked at Clint. Clint looked at the sky, at the light they'd lost, at the 75 people who'd been waiting. "Skip his scene," Clint said quietly. "Shoot something else." The crew scrambled to reorganize. The actor went to his trailer, seemingly unbothered by the chaos he'd caused. That evening, Clint's producer approached him. "We need to talk about this actor. 2 days, 2 major delays. We're losing budget and schedule." "I'm aware," Clint said. "Should we warn him? Threaten to fire him?" "No threats," Clint said. "One more day. Let's see if this is who he is." Bay 3 was the actor's biggest scene, the one they couldn't shoot around, the one that required him specifically. The production had scheduled this scene carefully, knowing they needed the actor to be on time, focused, professional. Call time, 6 a.m. The crew arrived, lights set, cameras ready, other actors in place, makeup done, costumes on. 6 a.m., no actor. 6:30, no actor. 7 a.m., still nothing. By 8 a.m., the crew was getting restless. Whispers spread. This was unprecedented. Even difficult actors usually showed up eventually. 8:30, 9 a.m., the perfect morning light was gone now. Whatever they shot would look different from the scenes they'd already filmed. Continuity was ruined. 9:15, the Mercedes pulled up. The actor stepped out, coffee in hand, wearing sunglasses despite the early hour. He walked past the crew like he was strolling into a cafe, not 3 hours late to a professional film set where 75 people had been waiting for him. The assistant director intercepted him before he reached his trailer. "We've been waiting since 6, the AD said, his voice tight. "We've lost the light for your scene. 3 days in a row now." The actor removed his sunglasses slowly, as if he was performing even this simple gesture. "My artistic process can't be rushed," he said. His voice had that particular tone some method actors get, that self-important gravitas. "I'm not one of those television actors who can just show up and perform on command. Real art takes time. The scene we're shooting today requires emotional preparation. I spent the morning at the location, feeling the space, connecting with the character's inner truth. The location is here, where we've all been since 6 a.m. I needed to approach it alone first, to experience it without the artifice of cameras and crew. If the light isn't right anymore, well, the light isn't right. We'll shoot it another day when I'm properly prepared and the conditions are perfect." As if his lateness wasn't the reason the light was wrong, as if his lack of preparation was somehow vindicated by the very problem he'd created. The crew members nearby were listening now. Some were shaking their heads. Others looked angry. 3 days of this. 3 days of being treated like their time didn't matter. The assistant director opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, Clint stood up from his director's chair. He walked across the set slowly, not rushing, not angry, just calm, deliberate, the way he did everything. The crew parted for him. Everyone went quiet. Clint stopped in front of the actor, looked at him. The silence stretched out. When Clint finally spoke, his voice was low, level, and absolutely final. "Pack your things. You're done." 5 words. That's all it took. The actor blinked. "I'm sorry?" "You heard me. Pack your things. You're done here." "You can't fire me. I have a contract. We're in the middle of production. You need me for this scene." "I don't need anyone who doesn't respect the 75 people who showed up on time. Your artistic process doesn't take 3 hours of other people's time. You want to prepare? Prepare at 5 a.m. so you're ready at 6 like everyone else. But you're not going to do that here because you're fired." "This is ridiculous," the actor said, his voice rising. "You're telling me that real artists, real actors with actual training and process, we're supposed to just, what, show up and hit marks like we're on some sitcom? I'm bringing depth to this role. I'm bringing truth. You're bringing nothing," said Clint, "because you're leaving. Someone will drive you back to Los Angeles. Pack your things. You have 20 minutes. The actor looked around, perhaps expecting someone to defend him, to tell Clint he was being unreasonable. But the crew members who'd been standing since 6 a.m., who'd lost perfect light 3 days in a row, who'd been treated like furniture by this actor, they said nothing. "You'll never work in this town if you fire me. My agent will—" "Your agent will hear that you were fired for being unprofessional. Now you have 19 minutes.
Clint turned and walked back to his chair. To the crew, he said, "We're skipping this scene. We'll recast and reshoot next week. Let's move to scene 43. The crew erupted into activity, reorganizing for a different scene, grateful to actually be working instead of waiting. Several crew members were smiling. A few were trying not to laugh. Within 25 minutes, the actor emerged from his trailer with his bags, looking furious. A production van was waiting to take him back to Los Angeles. He climbed in without speaking to anyone and left. Clint didn't watch him go. He was already focused on the next shot. The story spread through Hollywood before the van reached the airport. Clint Eastwood fired an actor for being late and citing artistic process. By the next day, it was in the trades. The actor's agent tried to spin it as creative differences, as scheduling conflicts, but too many crew members had witnessed what happened. The truth came out. Here's what happened next. The actor struggled to find work. When directors heard he'd been fired from an Eastwood film for unprofessionalism, they passed. When producers heard he'd lectured Clint Eastwood about artistic process while showing up 3 hours late, they laughed and moved on to other candidates. Meanwhile, Unforgiven went on to win 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. It's now considered one of the greatest westerns ever made, a meditation on violence and redemption that redefined the genre. And the actor who was fired? When he's remembered at all, it's as the guy who tried to lecture Clint Eastwood about professionalism and lost his career for it. Years later, in an interview about directing, Clint was asked about the incident. His response was characteristically brief. Film sets require discipline, not because of some authoritarian philosophy, but because hundreds of people are coordinating complex work. When one person decides their process is more important than everyone else's time, they're not an artist, they're just selfish. The crew members who were there tell a more detailed story. They talk about how 75 people had been standing ready at 6 a.m., how they'd lost perfect morning light 3 days in a row, how one person's ego had wasted thousands of dollars and dozens of hours. But they also talk about how Clint handled it. No yelling, no dramatic confrontation, just 5 calm words and a decision. Pack your things, you're done. This story, whether every detail is exactly as it happened, or whether it's grown in the telling over the years, captures something essential about Clint Eastwood's approach to filmmaking. He's famous for shooting fast, 1 or 2 takes, then moving on. 9-hour days instead of the industry standard 13. Films finished ahead of schedule and under budget. Some directors interpret this as lack of care, but actors who've worked with him tell a different story. Meryl Streep, who worked with Clint on the bridges of Madison County, said she sometimes didn't even know when they were shooting. He wouldn't yell action or cut. He'd just let scenes happen naturally, capturing authentic moments instead of manufactured perfection. Actors from Unforgiven talk about how little direction he gave them, how he trusted them to do their jobs, to come prepared, to be professional, how liberating it was to work with someone who respected their craft enough to let them do it without micromanaging. But that respect runs both ways. Clint expects the same professionalism he gives. Show up on time, know your lines, do your job. Don't waste people's time with self-indulgent behavior disguised as artistic process. The lesson isn't just about punctuality, it's about respect. Respect for the craft, for your colleagues, for the work itself. 75 people showed up at 6 a.m. ready to work. One person decided his process was more important than their time. That's not art. That's arrogance. And in Clint Eastwood's world, arrogance gets you fired. 5 words. Pack your things. You're done. That's all it took to end a career and create a legend. If this story moved you, hit subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to remember that talent doesn't excuse unprofessionalism, and real artists respect the people they work with. Have you ever seen someone confuse self-indulgence with dedication? Share your story in the comments and ring that bell for more stories about legends who draw the line between art and ego.